Hello again. Well, here we are then. We've allowed these to dry overnight and they've had the cream polish on. So the next step is to use a wax polish. Now the wax polish is again Sophia, methodical range. Again, I'm not being paid for this, they don't even know I'm doing it, but it's the best stuff I've found. These Sophia polishes, they're a mixture of beeswax and lanolin, and there's another sort of wax in there, and there's even a sort of waxy rock that they use. They grind it down and that gives a harder shell-like finish. I can't remember the name of it, but if I remember I'll tell you. So that's going to be the next stage with polishing these shoes. The cream is for colour and it looks okay, it's nice enough to look at. It does protect the leather, but it doesn't protect the leather like this stuff. So a waxy polish, and I'm going to give these shoes, it's a dark brown this, we'll get to the colour in the end, I'll show you, but the dark brown is a little bit more forgiving of knocks and scratches on these shoes, and to be honest I prefer the finish that I get. So the thing we do is 5 coats over the whole pair of shoes with no water at all, just 5 coats of wax polish, and we just keep rubbing it in with little circles, tiny little circles. Until the whole of the surface is covered. You don't need too much. Too much of this stuff really sort of it goes against what you're trying to achieve. Many thin coats is what you're aiming for. A bit like painting really, in fact it's very, very similar to painting. If you're painting a gate or a shed, several thin coats of gloss paint, loads better than just one thick coat with all the runs in it, all the things that can go wrong, and it peels off in one big sheet as soon as you get bad weather. Whereas you try doing it thin, you paint down with terps a little bit, or white spirit, and that doesn't occur. Now you don't need to polish, I'll just open the throat here to show you, you do not need to polish the tongue with the wax polish because that's always covered by the leather on the face. So we don't need to worry about that. That's one shoe, one coat. I'm going to try and wrap this round a little bit better than I have. The way of doing it is you wrap it around your fingers like this and then over the back of your hand and tuck it in and tie a little knot, and it supposedly stays tighter if you do it that way, but you need quite a lot of a long expanse of cloth to do it with. And that hasn't worked, so I'll do that again. You want it really nice and tight. That's better. And again, tiny little circles all over the surface. all we're doing here is putting down a base. These 5 coats of wax are just really a base for the one that we're going to use tomorrow, and that'll be the mirror polish, and that's this one, which is a harder shell and a glossier finish. Some people who polish shoes won't use new polish, they leave it out, they leave the lid off. They want it, some of the oils in there and the waxes to harden even more than they are in the actual tin. I don't think that's necessary. I keep mine locked away in the tin, but it is old because I've had it 2-3 years. I don't need to do this job very often because I've got enough pairs of shoes that I can alternate them, so you're not having to go through this process like every week or even every month. They just need a bit of a glow up from time to time. Okay, that's 1 coat of wax polish. And while I've been doing that one, this has been drying out just a little bit and setting. We'll put the 2nd coat on. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you sit here while I do all 5 coats, but it's important that you see me do it and that you see how the coats of polish build. I was looking at the history of Sapphire, the factory itself and the polish. They founded it in 1920 in France. Faverges is the place where they're still located. It's in the southwest of France, not very far from the Swiss border. And the family that set it up there ran it for many years, but eventually went bust, and it's been bankrupt twice. The current owners have had it a long time, and they're all still working out of the same factory that they started in, but it's obviously a lot bigger now. It's the top shoe polishing brand in France, and I think in the world it's certainly the best stuff that I've ever come across. And for many years, for decades, I was a Kiwi fan, and I still am. They've stopped selling it in Britain. You can't buy it in this country now very easily. So I find it not only easy, it's more expensive, Sapphire, but it's definitely a better result at the end of it, I've found. And not just me, there's a guy on the internet called Preston Soto, and his platform, his modus operandi, if you like, he calls himself the Elegant Oxford, and I think he works out of San Diego, is somewhere in California anyway, somewhere in America, and he's amazing. The things that he can do with an old piece of leather or an old pair of, he calls them thrift shoes, charity shop shoes that he'll buy, and he'll polish them up and make them better than new, and then give them away to somebody who needs them. So he's philanthropic as well as an expert in his field, and he really is good at polishing shoes. He does more than I do. He dyes them and graduates the colours and gets all kinds of effects. It's a bit like somebody who can really spray cars well, and you can see the effects that it's possible to achieve. I can make them shine. I can make them shine until you can see your face in them, but that's the limit of my ability as far as leather care and shoe cleaning goes. They'll last a lot longer, they'll look nice, and that'll be me. There, that's 2 coats. We'll go for a 3rd. We might as well. We've got nothing to do, have we? Just sit here and watch me polishing shoes. What could be nicer? It gets easier and easier as the wax layers build up. Your finger with the polish on slides across the surface more easily. Remember what I told you the other day, we go from the toe cap, the vamp, the face, around the eyelets, over this bit of broguing, we do the quarters, the heel cap or the stiffener or straightener, and then we're done. Now that's 3 coats. I think 3 coats will do for me to show you. I'm going to sit here and do a couple more, and then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll start the mirror shine on it, and that really is nice to watch as the mirror shine starts to come through. So we might spend a bit more time on that, maybe 1 or even 2 days, just polishing away. But the important thing, as I keep saying with this, is give it time and let it dry. When I finish, these will rest overnight again so that the waxes and the oils settle and set and dry, and only then are you going to achieve the best possible result. So thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.